cider cask? You can't use cider casks. What the hell are you doing, Glen Moray, whoever you think you are? Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Whisky Trials. This week, day, night, whatever you like, I will be tasting Glen Moray. Apparently, I've been saying it wrong. I've been saying it Glen Moray. But, you know, when you think, if you live in Scotland, and you think of the Moray Firth, which isn't the Moray Firth, it's the Moray Firth. So it's Glen Moray. Glen Moray! My sister reliably informs me and does not like me to get these things wrong. So Glen Moray, it's the Cider Cask Project! Yeah? Have you heard about it? Cider Cask Project. So they've stuck it in some cider casks to finish it off. It is a limited edition. I heard on the grapevine that they may have got into trouble about it. I'm not entirely sure why, what for, but yeah, apparently there was a little bit of a cider cask. You can't use cider casks. What the hell are you doing, Glen Moray, whoever you think you are? As you can see, already had a good bit of it, right? So it says Cider Cask Project, small batch on the label. UK exclusive. So apparently, you know, it's not being sold anywhere else. And perhaps, I don't know, you know, it would make sense if they used UK cider barrels from down Dorset way or something like that. Apologies again for the accent. You know, I like to do these accents and they're not always the best. So, the Glen Moray Distillery has been producing single malt Scotch whisky since the 19th century from Elgin, the capital of Speyside. Speyside whiskies, you know, excellent. They're probably my favourite. It is coming in at 46.3% volume. It's got quite a nice colour to it. It's non-chilled chill filtered, which apparently is a good thing. And who knows if it's been coloured with that syrupy stuff, I don't know. Hopefully not. But Glen Moray, I think, are really, they're doing some great things in whisky. They're really pushing the boundaries. They obviously are coming out with stuff like this, which is, in my opinion, just what the whisky industry needs. Give it a bit of variety. But also, man, they're really doing the whole affordable malt thing. I've got all the boxes down here. I can see one over there. An Elgin Classic, the sherry cask finish. One of my favourites just to buy on a regular basis. They're doing some great stuff. And coincidentally, this is a non-age statement. Expressions so often aren't. Well, I guess that's the point of an expression, right? It's an expression, it's not part of the core range. So, no age statement on this, and no age statement on any of the Elgin Classic expressions. They have the peated, the sherry, and something else, the classic. I think it's just classic, just the standard classic. And they're all good. So if you see, and you will see them in the supermarkets, buy them, because they're normally around 20 quid. And they are so worth it. Really good whiskies. But let's just come back to this cider cask. And you do get apples on the nose. You really do. There's something there's something quite weird about it though, because it kind of brings me back to my childhood, my teenage days of drinking cider, and not the nicest of cider. There's a slight tinge to it, obviously because it's got a high ABV. That 46.3, it creates something with the appliness, which I'm going to akin to, instead of thinking about my boozy teenage years drinking crap cider, I'm going to attribute this to what it smells like to me is a boozy apple crumble, some kind of apple dessert, a boozy one though. It's nice. It's got an interesting smell. I really like it. The taste, you kind of, once you've drunk Glen Moray for a while, and you've gone through the Elgin classics, the expressions, I think I could pick a Glen Moray out. It's got a fairly distinctive kind of taste for me. When I drink it so often that I'm pretty sure I could, normally I could probably pick it out at least 8 times out of 10. It smells kind of weird. You don't get too many real appley kind of smells in whiskey, so it's kind of an interesting one and a different one. Man, I think I poured myself a bit of a big nip. I've already filmed whiskey trials and I've already had a couple of nips. So the taste, I kind of think that the smell is more interesting than the taste. It's still a really nice whiskey, don't get me wrong. And I like it. But I know how much this cost because I bought it. And the Cider Cask project completes a unique flavour cycle, using finishing casks that have matured whiskey, then Scottish craft cider, and then finally our precious Glen Moray. The result is a truly special small batch spirit that will delight and excite. I see, I don't know how they could get in trouble for that. I don't know what that guy was talking about. It was on, I think it was Facebook, on social media, on a post on Facebook that, we were chatting about it on, and somebody said, "Oh, they got into trouble for it." But so how can they get in trouble for it? Because it kind of seems like no. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how, if anybody else has ever done this with whiskey and put it in cider. I'm guessing they looked at the legislation. If there must be some. I know there's some to call it scotch and whatnot. So maybe there's some other stuff that says you can only put it in certain casks, or you can only call it a scotch if you put it in casks. But then, how often does cider get put in casks? I don't know. I really don't know that much about cider. For me, cider's more of a... I mean, I've brewed it before. I've made my own cider. And I know that a lot of people down south have this thing about brewing their own cider, doing their own cider. Is it brewing? Yeah, brewing. So, I mean, who puts it in casks? The big guys? Why do they put it in casks? Not entirely sure if they would do that, because cider to me is kind of like lager. You kind of churn it out as quickly as possible to get it in those taps, to get people drinking it. So I'd be interested if anybody knows of cider that is aged in oak barrels, casks, to give me a shout. Obviously there's stuff out there, because how did Glen Moray get their hands on the casks if cider doesn't get matured in casks? So yeah, tell me about it. I'll try and if I can remember, I'll try and do some research on it. Oh wow, look, it actually tells you. So it's a small batch release, 1 of 2,000 bottles. That's kind of special, right? I'm drinking, or I have pretty much drunk, 1 of these 2,000 bottles. That's probably why it cost what it did. It wasn't that cheap. This was over 50 quid for the bottle. I got it on the whiskeyexchange.com. They seem to have I think that they have bought up a lot of the bottles from Glen Moray and said that we want to sell them first because they sold them first. It wasn't available anywhere else, just the Whisky Exchange, and now a few other places have got it as well. But 2,000 bottles, that is not a lot. So people would want to try this. You would, right? It's one of these slight oddities, rarities that maybe pop up and you're like, oh, I want to try that. And I did exactly the same thing, and I have tried it. And it is interesting. It's certainly interesting if you've got a good sense of smell. If you've got a good sense of smell, this is an interesting whiskey. If you don't, and you don't have a particularly great sense of taste, and you try the Elgin Classic, any of those ones, and then you try this one, you'll be like, what's the difference? Not really getting any difference. It is different though. There's definitely a different taste. Although I can identify it as a Glen Moray, it is different. Well, there you go. So they've described it as they often do. So the nose, reminiscent of a fairground. So it smells like grease, vehicles moving, and chemical toilets. No, it doesn't. It's toffee apple and candy floss, of course. The taste, incredibly light and fresh. Summer fruits accompanied by vanilla ice cream, sprinkled with toasted oats. Has anybody ever done that? Has anybody ever had ice cream sprinkled with toasted oats? I haven't, but it sounds alright actually. The finish, smooth and satisfying. Caramelized apple laced with spice mixed perfectly with vanilla fudge, slowly melting on the tongue. Right, okay. I would have put some commas in there probably somewhere. Kind of felt like a big sentence to just blurt out like that. Finish. Let's focus on the finish. So caramelized apple, comma, Glen Moray. So caramelized apple, comma, laced with spice. Oh no, wait a minute. Laced with spice, mixes perfectly with vanilla fudge slowly melting on the tongue. Man, that's a big sentence. Cut that sweary out. Do you know what? I might just start leaving the swearies in. Man, I'm always cutting swearies out. It's a pain in the butt. Caramelized apple. I think what I get on the finish, or what I'm getting right now, is I'm getting much more of a bitterness. So I struggle to find, I suppose caramelized, if it's caramelized, it will have that bit of bitterness. And it definitely does have a burnt bitterness aftertaste to it. So it's kind of like my dad's caramelized when he talks about his barbecue. And I say, that looks burnt. And he says, caramelized. So maybe Glen Moray have adopted that saying also. But yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's good. It's just great that Glen Moray are doing these kind of things. I would advise that you buy one. In fact, I would advise that you buy two, because there's only 2,000 bottles, and I've just drunk one, which means 1,999, and I know somebody else that's drunk one, so that's 1,998. So who knows how many people have drunk these? It could be 1,000 down already, so there's only 1,000 bottles left, kicking a boot. And that's why I bought 2. I'm keeping one. I'd advise y'all to do that too. Go and buy 2 of these. Drink one because, obviously, why not? You want to experience it and find out what it tastes like. And I can't really fault it. As Glen Moray's go, it's if I could say anything about it, I wish that there was more of an appleiness to the taste. You get it on the nose, you don't get it so much on the taste, on the palate. But it does have that kind of complexity, and it's one of these whiskies. I know Glen Moray, and I know that it's one of these whiskies that's very different depending on where you are and what you're doing and what you're eating. It is one of those kind of whiskies. So perhaps, man, if I'm having like a blue cheese and crackers and I'm mixing it with a bit of an apple, or with a bit of apple or a bit of celery, and then I have this, I reckon that's really going to accentuate the appley taste. You certainly get it on the nose, so it should be there on the taste somewhere as well. I don't get it as much as I get it on the nose, but it's great. Oh, yeah, look, Elgin Curiosity on the label as well. I love what Glen Moray are doing. It's so good, and if they did get in trouble for doing the Cider Cask project, I really hope that the powers that be let other people do this and they stop being such stick in the muds. And if, they want to... I know that the industry should be controlled for reasons, but equally, this kind of stuff is very inventive, very entrepreneurial, and it's definitely a good thing. And I'd be willing to sign any kind of petition, do any kind of video which will advocate this kind of whiskey. So well done, Glen Moray. Well done for doing something different. Coming out with something that I'm sure has completely sold out. I mean, it's only 2,000 bottles. It's gone. It's all gone. Buy it now. When I did a little sneaky test to see how many bottles the Whisky Exchange had left, and it was less than 400. So I guess that they maybe bought the first 1,000 bottles, and the rest went to the other shops online and other whiskey specialist shops on the high street. So buy a bottle, buy 2 bottles in fact, because by the time you've drunk the first bottle, the second bottle will probably be worth double of what you paid for it, hopefully. So yeah. Slanch, skål, and I'll see you on the next episode. Fucking hell, getting pissed.